ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनाशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं सतं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणं परमानंद माधवं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरं गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्रा जय गौर भक्त वृंदा पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपा स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेमा प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरात्विसे नमः। अजानुलम्बिता भुजौ कनकावदातौ संकीर्तनैका पितरौ कमलायताक्षौ विश्वाम्बरौ द्विजावरौ युगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणावतारौ आराध्यो भगवान् व्रजेश तनयास् तद्धामा वृन्दावना रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधू वर्गेण वा कल्पिता श्रीमद्भागवतं प्रमाणम् अम्लं प्रेमा पुमार्थो महान् श्रीचैतन्य महाप्रभोर्मतमिदं तत्राधरा न परा। Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining. So we have to start from verse 3, the very famous verse that you all know. So I'll start from there. So we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and remember that Shikshashtakam prayers come in the last chapter of the last section, which is Antilila. And in the Antilila, there are 20 chapters. In chapter 20 comes the Shikshashtaka prayers. The chapter itself is labeled the Shikshashtaka prayers. And this verse 3rd of Shikshashtakam, comes in the text 21 of this chapter. Before we do that, let's hear the glorification of this verse from Mahaprabhu and from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So you know that this is the very famous verse. Trinadapi sunicena taroriva sahishnuna amani namanade kirtaniya sada hari. So we are very, we know this verse very, very well, because we've heard this. Prabhupada mentions this verse so many times. But in Adi Leela, okay, so remember this is Ante Leela. In Adi Leela, Mahaprabhu talks about this verse, okay? And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami glorifies this verse by saying that this verse, Trinadapi Sunichena, is so important that everybody every sadhaka who is aiming to achieve perfection of life, who wants to achieve Krishna Prem, should string this verse on a thread and wear it on your neck. Okay, he says wear it on your neck like a necklace. So Kaviraj is glorifying this verse in such a way. Okay, let's hear that glorification. But before that, Mahaprabhu says a few things about the Harinam. Okay, and then he recites this verse and Kaviraj glorifies this verse. So we are now in Adi Lila. So I'm just going back a little because I want you to see what Mahaprabhu says. So Mahaprabhu is having his pastimes with his associates. You saw that. So you see that here it says that he ate the raw rice given by Shuklambra Brahmachari and explained very elaborately the import of Harer Nam Shloka. Remember the Harer Nam Shloka? We all know. Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Nam eva kevalam, kalau nasti eva, nasti eva, nasti eva gatir anyatha. So let's hear from Mahaprabhu. How does he glorify this verse? And then he will build it up to Trinadapi Sunichena. He says, in this age of Kali, there is no other means, Nastyeva, no other means, no other means for self-realization. So Nastyeva, other than chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. 3 times he says, Nastyeva, there is no other means. And 3 times he says, other than chanting the holy name. And that is the only means. Kevalam is the only means. So he says, कली काले नाम रूपे कृष्ण अवतारा नाम हईते हया सारा jagat nistara. In this age of Kali, the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is the incarnation of Lord Krishna. Simply by chanting the holy name, one associates with the Lord directly. Anyone who does this is certainly delivered. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so this verse is also very famous, that Kali Kale Nam Rupa Krishna Avatara. Okay, then he says that in this age of Kali, holy name has, or Krishna has appeared in the form of holy name. Kali Kale Nam Rupa Krishna Avatara. Then he says, Dardya lagi hare naam ukti tinavara jada loka bhujaite puna evakara. This verse repeats the word eva 3 times. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam. And it also 3 times repeats Hare Nam, just to make common people understand. Keval shabde punarapi nischaya karana yana yoga tapa karma adi nivarana. The use of the word keval prohibits all other processes, such as cultivation of knowledge, practice of mystic yoga, performance of austerities, and fruitive activities. In this way, he's glorifying the Harinam. Now come to this verse. He says, look at this. He says, Trinahaite nichahana sadalabe nama apani nirabhimani anyadi bemanam. So this verse, if you see, is same as Trinadapi Sunichena. What does he say? To chant the holy name always, one should be humbler than the grass in the street. Trina haite nicha hana. Trina means grass, like Trinad. So Trina means grass. One should be lower than a blade of grass. Sada labe nama. Always take the name of Krishna. Kirtanya Sadahari. Apani nirabhimani. So be devoid of respect for yourself. Like don't desire any respect for yourself. Anya dibe mana. Give so amanina mande. This is what this line is saying. To chant the holy name, one should always be humbler than the grass in the street, devoid of all desire for personal honor, but one should offer others all respectful obeisances. So if you see, Mahaprabhu is saying the same thing in a different verse. He's building up to Trinadapi Sunichena. He's saying the same thing, but you know how when we explain something, we use different words to say convey the same meaning. It's saying exactly the same thing, but different. The sentence is rephrased with the same meaning. It conveys the same meaning, but the words are differently strung together. So he's doing that because he's teaching. He's in the mood of teaching. So he's teaching that point by saying many different things before he will come to that verse. Then again he says, Taru sama sahishnutta Vaishnava karibe, Bhatsna tadane kake kichuna balibe. He's explaining this point, how one should be taror api sahishnuna, how one should be like a tree. He's explaining. Why does he say taror api sahishnuna? He says, a devotee engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord should practice forbearance like that of a tree. So, tolerance or forbearance like that of a tree. Even if rebuked or chastised, bhartsana matlab rebuked, or tadan meaning being chastised, being scolded. Kake kichu na balibe. Don't say anything. Don't say anything to others to retaliate. So even if you're chastised or rebuked, you should have forbearance like that of a tree, and do not retaliate if you're chanting the holy names of the Lord. So he's explaining Taro Riva Sahishnuna himself in another verse. Okay. Now he's explaining this point further. Okay, how a tree is, that how a tree is, what are the qualities of a tree that make it so tolerant, so forbearing? He says, Katileha taruyena kichuna boliya, shukaya mare tabu jalana magaya. For even if one cuts a tree, it never protests. Even if it is drying up and dying, it does not ask anyone for water. Kati leha, even if you cut the tree. Kati leha taru, even if you cut the tree. Kichu na bolaya, he will not say anything. The tree will not retaliate. He will not say anything. He'll let it cut him. Shukaya mare tabu jala na magaya. Even if it is shuka means sukh raha hai, it is drying up. It is dying, and mare, it is dying because of being dried. Still, it will not ask for water. Jala na magaya. It will not ask anyone for water. That is how tolerant somebody who's chanting the holy name should be. So in this way, then he will further explain. So, I cannot explain, and Mahaprabhu is explaining himself. So I thought it's better that you hear from Mahaprabhu the explanation of his own verse. So we are hearing the explanation of Trinadapi Shunichena verse from Adi Leela section of Chaitanya Charitamrit in Mahaprabhu's words. What else is Mahaprabhu saying? He's saying, Ei mata Vaishnavkare kichuna magiba, aya chita vritti kimba shaka phala khaiba. Thus a Vaishnav should not ask anything from anyone else. If someone gives him something without being asked, he should accept it. But if nothing comes, Vaishnav should be satisfied to eat whatever vegetables and fruits are easily available. So do not ask anything. If something comes of its own accord, we actually recently read it somewhere in Bhagavatam, that if it comes of its own accord, then you should accept it. But if nothing comes, be satisfied with whatever little you get. So this is his tolerance and humility. Sada naam laiba yatha labhete santosha, eita achara kare bhakti dharma posha. One should strictly follow the principle of always chanting the holy name. Sada naam laiba. Always take the names, always chant the holy names. Labhete santosha. And one should be satisfied with whatever one gets easily, whatever he gets easily. Like, do not strive too hard, do not struggle too hard to get something. Such devotional behavior solidly maintains one's devotional service. Okay. Then he says the famous verse, Trinadapi Sunichena. One who thinks himself lower than the grass. So, Trinad means grass, a straw, a blade of grass. One who thinks lower than the blade of grass. Taroriva sahishnuna, his sahishnuta or his tolerance, his forbearance is like that of a tree. We just heard how tree is tolerant. It lets you cut it, it gets dried, does not ask for water, does not stop you from cutting it, does not retaliate. Amanina manadin, who does not expect personal honor. Amanina, this word means does not expect personal honor. Mandain, and gives all respect to others, always prepared to give all respect to others. Kirtaniya Sadahari, such a person, so that can very easily always chant the holy names of the Lord. So sometimes we say, right, how can we chant, you say always chant the holy names of Lord or always stay in Krishna consciousness. It is not possible for me to always stay in Krishna consciousness or always chant the holy names of the Lord. But here Mahaprabhu is giving us the mood in which one, if we are in this mood, in this, this is our sentiments, our tolerance, our humility is such, then we will be able to chant the holy names of the Lord always. Now, look what Kaviraj says. He says, look, a very beautiful verse. Urdhva bahu kari kaho shuna sarva loka nama sutre ganthi pada kanthe ish aishloka. Raising my hands, I declare, everyone please hear me. Urdhva bahu. Urdhva means up. Like we have Urdhva Pondra Tilak, right? Urdhva, up. Urdhva bahu kari. I'm raising my hands up in the air. Kaho shuna sarva loka. The whole world is telling, oh, everybody here. Nama sutre ganthi pada kanthe e shloka. String this verse on the thread of the holy name and wear it on your neck for continuous remembrance. So he's instructing us to remember this verse all the time. String it on the thread of the holy name. So if you want to chant the holy name always, then make this the centerpiece of that necklace of holy names, so that always for continuous remembrance you know chant this verse all the time, so that you can always chant the holy name also. So then he says, Prabhu agyay karaye shloka acharana avashya paibe tabe Shri Krishna charana. One must strictly follow the principles given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this verse. If one simply follows in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya and the Goswamis, he will achieve the ultimate goal of life, the lotus feet of Shri Krishna. So in this way, this Mahaprabhu has given the understanding of this verse before reciting this verse. And Kaviraj has given us the this instruction that we should wear this on a thread of holy name around our neck and always remember this verse and try to act according to this verse. So, so then what does he say? Now coming back to Antilila, remember that we are reading from Antilila. I'll close this chapter to avoid confusion. So coming back to Antilila, we read this verse in verse 21. Then what he says? He says, okay, he says, so these are the four things mentioned. What are the four things? That one should be more humbler than a blade of grass. One, humility. Second, taro riva sahishnuna, more tolerant or forbearing than a tree. So tolerance, humility, tolerance. Third thing, amanina. Amanina means not expecting any respect, not expecting any appreciation, accolades, honor, respect for oneself. And mandain. Mandain means to give all respect to others. So these are the four principles when you will be able to chant Harinam all the time. Kirtanya Sadari. Somebody who's in this mood can chant Harinam all the time. So we'll discuss these four things in a few minutes, but let's see what else is said about this verse in Antilila. So now it is said, these are the symptoms of one who chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Although he is very exalted, he thinks himself lower than the grass on the ground, and like a tree, he tolerates everything in two ways. Okay, what are the two ways? Again, in different words, same concept is being mentioned. Please note the beauty of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, different words. Vriksha yena katileha kichu na bolaya. Shuka na melaha kare pani na magaya. Same thing is said, different words are being used. Before taro was said, now it's saying vriksha. Kichu na bolaya, bolaya, something else was used before. Then pani, instead of pani, it was saying jal na magaya. Like that, different words, but same concept is being conveyed again. When a tree is cut down, it does not protest. Even when drying up, it does not ask anyone for water. The tree delivers its fruits, flowers, and whatever else it possesses to anyone and everyone. It tolerates scorching heat and torrents of rain, yet it still gives shelter to others. So some more qualities of tree are being given. What can it tolerate? It can tolerate being dried up. It can tolerate being cut down. And still it will give its shade, it will give fruits and flower to anyone and everyone. It does not ask for its qualification. Whoever will come and sit under its shade, he will give shade to that person. He will give his fruits and flowers are for everyone. And what else? He tolerates scorching heat and torrents of rain. So many um, storms and heat it tolerates, yet it still gives shelter to others. So these are the qualities given basically of a pure devotee, a uttam bhakta, uttam adhikari, a bhagavato uttama. We are reading Sri Shopnishad verses 6 and 7, which give the qualities of a uttam bhagavat devotee. And these are some of the qualities: their tolerance, their humility. Then he says, although a Vaishnava is the most exalted person, uttam hana Vaishnava, habe nirabhimana. He's topmost. He's the topmost living entity possible. Yet he is nirabhiman. He has no pride, no false prestige. Jive samana dibe jani Krishna adhisthana. He gives all respect to everyone, knowing everyone to be the resting place of Krishna. So he sees Krishna's presence within everyone, and he sees everyone as Krishna's part and parcel. And so he gives respect to everyone. So he has this vision, Uttam Adhikari, topmost devotee, pure devotees of the Lord. The best, topmost Vaishnavas have that vision where they see everyone as the part and parcel of Krishna. So, and they think themselves to be very low, even though they are topmost, they think themselves to be very low. And in this humble mood, they see everybody else to be the children of the Lord, the part and parcels of the Lord. If one chants the holy name of Lord Krishna in this manner, he will certainly awaken his dormant love for Krishna's lotus feet. So, Sri Krishna Charane Tanra Prema Upaja. In this manner, if we chant, then we will be able to awaken our dormant love for Krishna. As Lord Chaitanya spoke in this way, his humility increased and he began praying to Krishna that he could discharge pure devotional service. Okay, so the explanation of this verse stops here, and then the next verse will come. So let's break this down a little more. The principle of humility and tolerance. Most of you are familiar with this, but let's discuss a little bit more. So the first principle this verse is saying is humility, okay, and tolerance. So humility and tolerance go hand in hand. Somebody who is humble will be able to tolerate because they do not think that they're superior to others, that they're not entitled in this world. So humble people will also be able to tolerate, and tolerant people will have humility. So both of these traits actually go hand in hand. Okay, so there are many other verses also that glorify the principle of tolerance. Like I was, when I was hearing classes about this Shikshashtakam, our Guru Varga have quoted these two very common verses, very famous verses, which describe the principle of tolerance from Srimad Bhagavatam. The one very common one is Parikshit Maharaj's tolerance when he was cursed by the Brahmana's boy. So this verse is said in this regard. Tiraskrita vipralabdha shapta kshipta hata api nasya tat pratikurvanti tad bhakta prabhavopihi. So that verse describes the principle of tolerance. Tiraskrita, even though a devotee of the Lord is defamed. Tiraskar. Tiraskar means to bring ill fame, ill reputation, or infamy. So in this way, if there is they're defamed, they're apmanit, or they're defamed. Vipralabdha, they're cheated. Shapta, they may be cursed, like Parikshit Maharaj was cursed. Shipta, they may be neglected. Hata, hata means they may be harmed. Nasya tat pratikurvanti. Yes, Prabhuji, I'm not sharing it on the screen. I can open it. It's 1.18.48 from Srimad Bhagavatam. I can open it. Nasya tat pratikurvanti. So even then, he does not counteract or seeks revenge. He does not seeks to avenge himself, even though he has all the power. It's not like he cannot avenge himself. Like Parikshit Maharaj could have avenged himself if he wanted, but he did not avenge himself and tolerated that curse because the devotees of the Lord are that forbearing, that tolerant. So this was said in regards to Parikshit Maharaj. This is the verse. I have it on the screen. Tad bhakta prabhavo bihi. So the devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, tiraskrita, cheated, vipralabdha, cursed, shapta, kshipta is disturbed or harmed or injured, neglected or even killed, nasya tat pratikurvanti. They are never inclined to avenge themselves. So this was said in regards to Parikshit Maharaj. Then another famous verse I will open for you, which describes this principle of tolerance, is 3.25.21. This says, Titikshva karunikaye suhrida sarvadehinam ajat shatrava shanta sadhava sadhu bhushana. The symptoms of sadhu are that he is titikshva, tolerant. Titikshva means tolerant. Karunika, merciful. Suhrada, he is friendly to Sarvadehinam, to all living entities. He has no enemies. Ajat Shatru. Ajat Shatru is commonly referred to. Yudhishthir Maharaj is often referred to as Ajat Shatru, somebody who has no enemies. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj, no enemies. Ajat Shatrava Shanta. So he does not consider anybody to be his enemy. He has no enemies. He is Shanta. He is peaceful, forgiving, peaceful. Sadhva, he abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. This is the abhushan, or this is the adornment of the devotees, of the sadhus, of the Vaishnavas. These characteristics are the adornments or the jewels, the precious ornaments of a sadhu, that they have these qualities of being tolerant. So being tolerant is a very big quality mentioned in many verses, and in the most important verse of Mahaprabhu's, that one should be tolerant and humble. Yeah. So in this mood, so think about it. If you are not tolerant, let's say, for example, I get angry, let's say, very quickly. If you get angry very quickly, you hold resentments, you have grudges, then you will stay, irritable, angry, frustrated all the time at people. How will you chant? How could you focus on chanting? Because you're always in this resentful, grudging mood. It is very hard to chant. And I'm sure everybody of us here has felt that when we are holding grudges, our heart is so full of the resentments against people, against situations, against circumstances in life, that we cannot focus on Harinam because the heart is full of all the bad things of this world, that there is no place for Harinam. So the mind keeps drifting because mind has a tendency to go towards negative things. But if it is a sober, steady person who's very forgiving, very tolerant, very peaceful, very humble, he does not, hold grudges, does not forgives people, does not get angry and irritable very easily, then such a steady, sober person can actually nicely chant the names, can, do Kirtaniya Sadahari constantly. He can stay steadfast. So steady people can stay steadfast. Steady means a sober person, a dhir purush, who knows that these things come and go. Somebody will disturb you. Somebody will say something negative today. Somebody might offend you. Today somebody is glorifying you. Tomorrow that same person may say something bad about you. Somebody at work might say something, may criticize you for no reason, even though it's not your fault. Like Parikshit Maharaj, what was his fault? It was a simple small mistake for which he was cursed to death. Like, was that a appropriate punishment to be cursed to death for a little bit of mistake? So if you start holding grudges, then you cannot stay steadfast, because then that day your chanting will be really bad, or you will not be able to chant at all. You'll be so disturbed, you cannot do your services, you cannot focus on the task at hand, because the mind is attached to those negative things in the going on in the life. But a steady, sober person, tolerant, merciful, humble person will be able to stay steadfast in his chanting and in his services, no matter what.
practice करता रहा.
So not only, so this is like a cycle. This is like a cycle. If you see in Kaviraj's description of when Mahaprabhu is describing this word, saying this verse, Kaviraj says his humility increased. Did you see that? I don't know if you noticed this. He says every few verses. Okay, here. As Lord Chaitanya spoke in this way, his humility increased. Now you will say, humility is already there so much. He's already so tolerant and humble. But actually, this is what happens. If you try to cultivate this mood and chant in this mood, then your humility and tolerance increases. It's a vicious circle. You try to cultivate humility and tolerance, then you will be able to chant. When you're able to chant nicely, you're able to focus on Harinam, your humility and tolerance will increase more. It will come easily. Before you were struggling to develop humility and tolerance. Now it will come easily. Then you will be able to chant better. By chanting better, humility and tolerance will increase more. So actually, if we make an effort to develop humility and tolerance and focus on Harinam, in this mood, if we chant Harinam, let go of things, let go of grudges, resentment, stay humble, stay tolerant. In beginning it may be hard, but still let go and just still focus on chanting one way or the other somehow. By doing a good chanting, by actually focusing the mind on Harinam, it will become easy to be humble and tolerant. As the humility increases, Harinam chanting will improve. So it is a nice circle. So in this way, you can keep chanting constantly. That is why Kirtaniya Sadhari, you can keep chanting constantly because now you're relishing that all those things I was struggling with is now becoming easy. Focus more, it becomes even more easy. Focus more, becomes easy. So in this way, keep chanting. So this is I really like this point that Kaviraj keeps saying every few verses that as Lord Chaitanya spoke, his humility increased. Even yesterday when we were reading, I don't know if you noticed, he said this, his humility increased. So, so that's such a nice point, I thought. So it's not like these good qualities. Remember, they are infinite. They are, Krishna has infinite amount of these good qualities, right? And we have very small, minute amount of these good qualities. So we have a long way to go. So they can keep increasing unlimitedly. They can keep increasing. So to the good things in this world, these good qualities, these virtues, actually they are never ending and they keep giving more and more bliss. Okay, then in Bhagavad Gita, so this I quoted two verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, the divine and demonic natures, Devi Asuri Sampada, Krishna talks about the most important thing he talks about is how devotees should not have pride, arrogance, conceit. Three things. He, for almost same type of quality, he uses three words: pride, arrogance, conceit. Similar type of problems, right? Similar type of negative qualities or vices, you can say. So he says, Dambo darpo abhimanascha krodha parushyam evacha Ajnanam cha bhijatasya partha sampadam asurim. That this is asuri sampada. Think about it. Sampada. This is sampada means what? Treasure, wealth. This is the wealth of asuri people, demoniac people. What is the wealth of demoniac people? The pride, arrogance, conceit. Dambo, darpo, abhimana. Whereas we just read the opposite of that. The amanina manden is the, or titikshwa karunika is the sadhu bhushana, is the abhushan or the ornament of sadhus. So you can see that this is asuri sampada and that was devi sampada. That was the treasure, the wealth of the divine people, of the devotees. Similarly, later in that chapter also, 16th chapter, he says, Dambhamana madanvita. He says something like that this damba, this pride, this false prestige, etc., uh, is an obstacle in achieving him. So this is the uh, concept of humility and tolerance. Then the third point was amanina. Amanina means not expecting respect, like uh, some accolades, honor, appreciation, getting false prestige in this world. Okay. And yet man dena, giving respect to others. So it is said in this regard I was just hearing actually Guru Maharaj's lecture today. He said again today, he said, think about it this way. You should not expect credit for things that you have done. You should not even expect credit for things that you actually deserve. You may have done something. Even then, you should not expect credit or appreciation for those things. What to say? We are so fallen that we are expecting credit and appreciation for things we have not even done. That is the nature of a human being, that he wants credit and appreciation for things he has not even done. What will be the result of this tendency to expect to want credit for something that you have not done? His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu was saying that the result would be, if you want something, if you want credit for something you have not done, you will also be blamed for something you have not done. You will get a karmic reaction, you will get a blame for what you have not done. So never expect credit for what you have not done. But we are not at that level. We have to grow to the next level. Not even expecting credit for something you have actually done. So some uh, uh, task you have facilitated, some service you have rendered, some whatever you have, some task you have performed in this world. Because it is said, to the degree we don't expect results for ourselves, to that degree we can give respect to others. I'll say this again. To the degree we don't expect respect for ourselves, to that degree we can give respect to others. The more we want respect for ourselves, the less we will be able to respect others. This is very, again, very, advanced concept to apply in our life, because if we have done something, we want credit, you know we want appreciation. But this Mahaprabhu is teaching us, amanina, do not expect appreciation. No, do not expect appreciation. Just give appreciation, respect, honor to others. Because remember that also in this material world, any any expectation for result, and Krishna has taught us this principle very early on in Bhagavad Gita, any expectation for result, because result is not in your hand. If you are working for appreciation or credit or honor from others, that may not happen, because it is the nature of this material world to bring frustration. So if you are doing some work not for the work itself, if you're doing the work not with proper intention to please the Lord, no, or as a sacrifice, as a service, as love, if that's not your intention, you're not doing it joyfully, you're doing it just attached to the outcome, then if the outcome is negative, which can happen in this world because it is not in your hand, it is decided by many factors, then if that outcome is negative, you'll be very frustrated. So how would anyone be able to do any work, if they are just attached to outcome and they keep getting negative outcome, let's say, they keep getting negative results, we will not be able to function, right? So expectations of result actually bring frustration. And that's why Krishna has taught us in Bhagavad Gita that we should not be attached to the results or outcome. And in this regard, we are saying we should not be attached to the appreciation or honor for ourselves. So the more we seek name, fame, honor for ourselves, the more we will not be able to give respect to others. And if we cannot give respect to others, we'll not be able to chant the Harinam continuously, because that person is just will be frustrated. I did this, I did that. Nobody is appreciating me. Nobody gives me credit. I'm, worked so many hours, not getting this much money, whatever. So many things we will be lamenting about, hankering for, complaining about, criticizing about, and our heart will just be full of these type of anxieties. So that is why it is said the success is not in the outcome. Success is in doing the job properly, with the best intention, with the best focus, with joy, as for love, for sacrifice. That if you do the job in that mood, if you do the service, the task at hand with that mood, then outcome, whatever it may be, it's all positive, it's all good. Krishna will be pleased. And then also another point that happens is, if we are expecting respect for ourselves, let's say we don't get it, somebody else gets it, then there will be envy. There will be envy, which is very, very lethal actually. So envy for, so if we wanted name and fame, but we didn't get it, then somebody else who got it, we will be envious of that person. So there are many problems with this concept of expecting respect for oneself. One, you will not enjoy the task at hand because you're attached to the outcome of appreciation and honor, etc. You will be envious of other people who do get the positive result of appreciation and honor. You will not be able to respect others because you're expecting all respect for yourself. You will not be able to chant good because you're just focused on all these things. Your mind and heart is full of these things. And you will be frustrated, you will have anxiety, you will have anger issues and all this, right? And if you started hankering for things that you have not even done, then it's a karmic reaction. You will also get blamed for what you have not done. So there is a famous quote which says, "It is amazing how much can be accomplished if no one cares who gets the credit." Um, So these are the 4 qualities mentioned in this verse. And Kaviraj is saying these are jewel-like qualities, abhushan, that should adorn the devotees and wear this verse like a necklace around your neck. That's all I have for this verse. Anybody else wants to share? If not, we can go to the next one. Any questions, corrections, realizations, or anything? Okay, so let's go to the next verse. So we'll again read from Antilila. Okay, so this is Antilila. We read till here, right? So we read till how his humility increased and he began praying to Krishna. Then he says, wherever there is a relationship of love to Godhead, it is natural. Its natural symptom is that the devotee does not think himself a devotee. Instead, he always thinks that he has not even a drop of love for Krishna. Okay, so then comes the famous verse. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadish kamaye mam janmani janmani ishware bhavatad bhakte rahe tuki tvai. Na dhanam, O Lord of the universe, I do not desire material wealth, dhanam. Na janam, materialistic followers. Na sundarim, a beautiful wife. Kavitam va jagadish kamay, or fruitive activities described in flowery language. Mam janmani janmani ishware, all I want life after life is bhavatad bhaktir ahetuki tvai, unmotivated devotional service to you. Ahetuki bhakti, or unmotivated, not inspired by any ulterior motives, that kind of unmotivated, pure, unalloyed devotional service to you. So this, so then let's read a couple more verses after that. Then what does he say? Then he says, Dhan jan nahi mango kavita sundari shuddha bhakti deha more Krishna kripa kari. My dear Lord Krishna, I do not want material wealth from you, dhan, nor do I want followers, jan. Nahi mango, I don't want. Kavita sundari, beautiful wife, or results of fruitive activities. Shuddha bhakti deha more. I only pray that by your causeless mercy, give me pure devotional service to you, life after life. Krishna, kripa kori, give me that mercy. Ati denne puna mange dasya bhakti dana, apanare khare samsari jiva bhimana. In great humility, considering himself a conditioned soul of the material world, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again expressed his desire to be endowed with service to the Lord. So here it is being clarified to us that Mahaprabhu is acting like a jiva. He's Bhagwan, but he's acting like he's come in the form of a devotee. So he's acting like a conditioned soul of this material world, and he's showing by his achar, by his acharan, by his conduct, how devotees' mood should be, that we should have this mood of, sorry, here we go. Sorry, I thought I was sharing the screen. So he has this mood of great humility. He's showing with his conduct that this is the mood we should have. Even though he's the Bhagwan, he's acting as a conditioned soul of this world. And what is he asking for? He's asking for service to the Lord. Dasya bhakti dana. Give me the bhakti. Give me the shuddha. He says, Shuddha bhakti deha more. Krishna kripa kari. So now going back to this verse of na dhanam na janam, you see, this verse is basically telling us, Mahaprabhu is telling us to cleanse our desires, to not have impure or incorrect materialistic desires, because we know that those type of desires to enjoy this world, like with dhan we can enjoy, with good birth, fame, followers, name, fame, followers, etc. we can enjoy. Sundarim, beautiful wife, beautiful spouse, we will enjoy. If we get a lot of followers, or like benedictions of Vedas, then all those things we will enjoy. So if we enjoy this material world, then we will get trapped, we'll get engaged in this world, birth after birth. So we'll have to keep coming through the cycle of birth and death. So these are impure desires, materialistic desires that keep us bound here. So then we should know what to ask. And he's telling us what to ask. Don't ask for these things. He's not asking for these things. He is asking for unmotivated, uninterrupted, ahetuki apratihata devotional service. He's not asking for petty things. He's not asking for temporary things which are harmful to us, actually. Remember, we talked about yesterday that material happiness, material benedictions are actually they cause side effects, they cause misery, they are harmful. So they may give short-term benefit, but in the long run, they are harmful. So these are temporary things of this world that are harmful. So he's not asking for those things. And also remember that, Supreme Lord is very, he's a supreme person. He has all this wealth and everything. He has all the opulences. So when we ask for these petty things from him, actually, we are asking for very small benedictions from a very wealthy person. It's like a millionaire comes to me and I'm asking to him for just like $10. Like, let's say we want to build a temple here, and a millionaire comes, and then I just ask him for $10. So, but he could have given me so much more. He had so much to give, and I just asked for $10. So we need to know what to ask for, what desires to have, and Mahaprabhu is giving us those desires, the devotional service of the Lord. So we have to change to spiritual desires. Something that is more valuable, something that is long lasting, precious, something substantial. So this is, and this is also mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, that those are the pure devotees of the Lord that have no other desires, like Anya Bhilashita Shunyam. Right? They don't have other abhilasha or desires. Anya Bhilashita Shunyam Gyan Karma Diyanavritam Anukulena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktiruttama. So they do not have any desires for impersonal liberation or fruitive work or those kind of things. So Mahaprabhu is also showing us in the mood of topmost devotee. The topmost devotees do not ask for these things. Uttam bhaktas are anya bhilashita shunyam. And in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, right, in chapter 2, apuryamanam achalam pratishtam, that basically in that verse he says that there are so many desires that come to the ocean, there's so many rivers that come to the ocean. Similarly, so many desires come to our mind, but just like the ocean tolerates the influx of the desires of the rivers, similarly we should also tolerate the influx of so many desires. And so tolerate those excessive desires, see what is good for Krishna consciousness, anukulena krishnanu. So accept those things that are favorable for Krishna bhakti and discard the ones that are not favorable, that are harmful for devotional service. So should not cultivate or encourage these unnecessary desires that come through the mind, body, senses, intelligence, and so many things. Actually, His Holiness Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj quotes this many times. It's a quotation by Saint Teresa of Avila. He says that That lady says that saint says that more tears are shed over answered prayers than over the unanswered ones. So because we don't know what to ask for, so the things that we ask for, when they get answered, they actually bring us tears, they actually bring us sufferings and misery. And he tells that story of the lady. There was a very old lady in a village who used to walk in the scorching heat, carrying a large load, a burden on her head. Like she had to carry something, which was her job, to carry something heavy on her head, and she will take it from one place to another. One day in scorching heat, she was walking like this, and the big burden on her head fell down. And she cried out in despair, "Oh Krishna, please help me." And Krishna came. Krishna came at that time. And so Krishna said, "What do you want, my dear?" And she was so despondent at that time. She was so uncomfortable in the heat, and all she wanted was to somebody to help her put that load back on her head. So that's what she asked immediately, without thinking who is in front of her, who is this person. She just asked, "Oh Krishna, please help me carry this load again." So he helped her put that burden back on her head, and she walked further on her way. As she went a few steps, she realized that it was Krishna, and she could have asked for anything that she wanted. This was her beloved, worshipable God. And what did she ask? She asked to put that burden back on her head. This is such a silly thing to do, such a foolish thing to do. This burden is killing me every day. I have to do this every day, day after day. I have to carry this load on my head, and this is my misery. And I asked to put that misery back on my head again. How foolish is this? This is what we do. We ask for things that keep us bound in this world, keep us entangled and caged in this world. So we keep asking for dhanam, janam, sundarim, kavitam. But Mahaprabhu is setting an example that uh, upgrade yourself to the level of pure devotee, upgrade your desires from material to spiritual, and ask for things that are long lasting. And the only long lasting, the best benediction for soul, Shreya, Kairav, Chandrika, Vitaranam, the Shreyas, the long term benediction for the soul is to ask for devotional service of the Lord. Ask for Shreyas, not for prayers. So this is about the desires. So far, first verse told us the 7 benefits of chanting the holy names, or 7 benefits of Sankirtan movement. Second verse told us about what are these names, what is the potency of these names, that these names are none other than Krishna, and Krishna has invested all his energy in his names. Then number 3 told us how to chant these names at all times, in what mood, and the mood should be of humility, tolerance, giving respect to others, and not expecting any respect for oneself. And this verse told us what to ask from Krishna, that we should desire for service, desire for taste of Harinam, desire for association of devotees, desire for interest in reading scriptures, desire for services, these things, not just the things of this world. Then, shall we do one more? This next one, or should we do it tomorrow? Or would someone like to share? That would be nice too. We can either do one more, or if somebody can share a few things, it would be nice too. Bol. Abhiram Gopal Prabhu, Anand Kishori Mataji, Kalindi Mataji, anyone wants to share anything?
Hare Krishna Mataji, beautiful presentation. Very, very nice. Thank you for sharing the nectar, presenting very nicely. And actually, like you were mentioning in Trinada Pisunichena Shloka, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had so many associates, we see. And when it came to the holy name, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he made the Namacharya to Srila Haridas Thakur. And we can see in the life of Srila Haridas Thakur how he exemplified the shloka of being more tolerant than a tree and more humble than a blade of grass. When he was being beaten in 22 marketplaces, he was simply, humbly praying for those people who were beating him. I mean, this is a limit. How can one be so tolerant and humble to pray for those people who are beating you? That's not a conception which conditioned souls can easily get. And Prabhupada quotes this incident so many times, and also many times he relates it to how Jesus Christ was crucified. And the similarity is that both of them were basically praying for those who were causing them to suffer. So we can see the importance of the shloka in practical life when it comes to chanting, how this is so important. And if we are able to, in some way, shape, or form, incorporate it, we can see the mercy of Mahaprabhu coming, and we be able to um, serve. And many times the understanding is also not not so clear, because we see acharyas or devotees or sannyasis many times them for preaching purposes, um, doing things which may appear to be not so humble and tolerance. Like Srila Prabhupada, he would sometimes be very, very speaking very boldly, and in a way he might even chastise. But the true understanding is also to be in the mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where he says that how um, the real understanding of the shloka is to be in the mood of dasanudas, and um, in the service of being of the master, in the service of the Lord and the devotees and the Guru Parampara, one has to understand the shloka. So, in the service, we are the servant of the servant of the servant, and in that mood, we have to serve with humility and tolerance. And for the service, whatever is favorable, that attitude has to be adopted. And sometimes that attitude, from an external perspective, may not be understood by ordinary people, but for devotees, it can be understood. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Haridas Thakur was being uh, tortured, he came with Sudarshan Chakra to defend. So, when it comes to uh, uh, ordinary people, they may not understand how this is tolerance and humility, coming with Sudarshan Chakra to come to execute. But we see that that was not for defending himself. When he was being criticized by Ramachandra and others, he was not really, he didn't mind it. He was taking it in a very favorable manner. But for someone else, other devotees, or for the Lord, for the service, one, in the mood of the servant of the servant of the servant, one may have to take steps which to ordinary people may not appear to be humility and tolerance, but actually they are humility and tolerance, because they are done in the mood of being the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna and the devotees and Guru Parampara. Beautiful, Mataji. Thank you so much for sharing the nectar.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for adding those points. That was wonderful. Yeah. So that's the other side of humility also. I was also reminded of that pastime where I can't remember exactly, but where Mahaprabhu actually showed his opulence because it is said that humility in service of Krishna can also be sometime to actually, be aggressive. Be aggressive in the service of Krishna is actually real humility. So sometimes even to show your opulence is okay. That it doesn't mean that you hide your, let's say, talents or skills because you're so humble that that I won't speak, or I won't sing, or I won't, any whatever skill you have. Because the real humility is to be devoid of false ego and to use it in the service of Krishna, just like you were saying, being das, and das. So when you use it on yourself, when you are in that false ego, then it is arrogance, pride, conceit, dambho, darpa, abhiman that Krishna was talking about. But when anything is used in service of Krishna, it to push the Sankirtan movement forward, it can, it is a real humility actually. So humility has many. Humility does not mean to become like a doormat. That is also another concept that comes sometimes, that people think humility means low self-esteem. It doesn't mean low self-esteem. It means having confidence in Krishna. That if I'm doing his service, it's up to him. So having confidence in Krishna, like Prahlad, for example, humility and tolerance, everything is there. He's completely confident that he will come. He's here in this pillar. So that is also humility. So it doesn't mean low self-esteem or low confidence, but actually to be aggressive, knowing that Krishna is my protector, maintainer, and I'm engaged in his service. That's the humility also. That there are many aspects, like there could be a 360-degree, discussion on various aspects of tolerance and humility. But thank you, Prabhuji, for adding that. Anybody else wants to share anything else?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, you went on mute again.
Oh, sorry. So saying wonderful discussion and wonderful points. And when Ram Gopal Prabhu was mentioning about Haridas Thakur, I also was thinking about, just like you said, for about Chota Haridas, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very strict on Chota Haridas also, right? And in terms of keeping the standards, like just like Prabhupada, you were saying that, sometimes Prabhupada used to chastise other people, or Abhiram Gopal Prabhu was mentioning that Prabhupada used to chastise other people at times, and he needed to do that. And just like the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed, that to keep the standards of Vaishnavas, to show that, we can't really have nonsense attitude in the devotees, and we need to keep our standards really high. We need to sometimes set expectations also correctly. And that is not that, he didn't have the humility. He's the one teaching all these, giving all these teachings. But at the same time, he kept the standards high for devotees. So those are the standards we need to try to live by. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, thank you, Nagarjuna Prabhu. Yes, they are seeing everybody as, children of God. So sometimes children, like Amuglila Prabhu says, why is sometimes people say, why is Prabhupada so heavy with the, sometimes, and people question that. So then he says that does your mother never scold you? So this is Jagat Guru. He's the, for everybody is in his care and shelter for him. Everybody is children, child of God, and they're misbehaving. So it's his duty to chastise. Who would fix them? So, there are many children of a father, but there is one that's responsible, that the one that is the representative of the parents. He will chastise the other naughty kids. So that's how we need to understand that if they chastise, it's for our own good, and for in a big picture, in the long run, it's good for that person, and it's to engage that person properly, utilize him in service of Krishna. So that's why they're being chastised, not out of, like Abhiram Gopal Prabhu was saying, not like for personal some petty agenda or like some egoistic tussle or something like that. Not for that. It's they are looking at their best, good for them. So, so that is also humility, to be able to chastise somebody who's in your care and shelter. A parent cannot say, "Oh, I'll let my child do some nonsense, and that's fine."
Yes, thank you, Mataji and Prabhu. And one more thing regarding the point which Nirbhay Prabhu was mentioning, Nagachand Prabhu, about Chota Haridas. So even though Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he himself was very strict, but actually his associates, they actually engaged Chota Haridas in service. So they accepted, they didn't reject. So even if the Lord directly to set an example and an etiquette showed very strong response, but at the same time by the followers and the associates of the Lord, he showed how should the mood should be of the community to be able to engage such people in the service. It's not that everybody has to reject and let them be without it. So there are so many deeper meanings. And um, the other point which I was thinking is, when it comes to service of Krishna, that can also be very subjective. Different people may be thinking, "Arey, nahin, I have to speak boldly." The uh, Siddhanta boliye na karo alas. One has to speak boldly in the service, and then one may not understand in what occasion one has to be bold and what audience one has to be humble, and that needs maturity. Because if with among devotees we start becoming, in the name of service, becoming lax about the proper Vaishnava etiquette, and in outside world we go and become very much humble and try to um, basically misappropriately uh, engage in dealings, and in the name of humility and tolerance start compromising on our principles, then it actually will be a wrong application. So in what setting, how to do it is also a part of our training, which we learn in association of devotees, and in a community where we can understand and gain maturity. But very important to try to incorporate tolerance and humility, like Nārangi Mataji explained. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Yes. Yeah, I think as we keep practicing, we develop the maturity on with how much to tell somebody, how much to preach, or those things come. Krishna provides intelligence from within also. I wanted to share this slide, and I think we'll continue tomorrow then. This I never shared before. So there are 8 verses of Shikshashtakam. The first 5 verses deal with the sadhana bhakti, so which is the the disciplinary practice, one with rules and regulations of devotional service. So there are 9 stages, and the first 7 of those come under sadhana bhakti. So the first 5 verses that we should be chanting the holy names, why we need to chant, what are the benefits, and what mood to chant, not to have too many spiritual material desires and cultivate more spiritual desires. What is our original identity of being Das, Ai Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram? So these first 5 verses of Shikshashtakam are very relevant to us who are engaged in sadhana bhakti, who are engaged in the initial, like the disciplinary process where we follow rules, regulations, that type of practice. This is sadhana bhakti. Then the next 2 verse 6 and 7, 6, 7, and 8 go on the level of bhava and prem bhakti. That's why I was saying that not much is discussed about these 3, because these are a little beyond our scope of practice, because we are in this level of practice right now. We'll still try to understand the mood of Mahaprabhu from these 3 verses, but these 6 and 7 come at the platform of Bhav Bhakti. They describe the Bhav Bhakti, and all these also come under the platform of Prema Bhakti, especially the verse 7 and 8. You see, especially 7 and 8, Prema Bhakti. So these represent Prema Bhakti of the Lord. These are representative of Bhava Bhakti of the Lord. Then there are 3 divisions or 3 stages of Vedic knowledge, as some of you might know: Sambandh, Abhidheya, and Prayojan. Sambandh is knowing the relationship with Krishna. Again, the first 5 verses deal with the Sambandh Gyan. The all the verses are about abhidya, which means the process of Krishna consciousness, the process of devotional service. All verses are applicable for abhidya. And the last 3 verses again, 6, 7, and 8, which are very high level, they are a prayojan or the goal. So when we get to the level of 6, 7, and 8, that means we have achieved, we are in very high mood of bhav or praying. So that is a prayojan. So Sambandh, Abhidya is all of the verses, and Prayojan is the last 3 verses. So these 8 verses in this way are classified, categorized by our teachers. I'll stop here. I think we could finish tomorrow. I'm sorry. I was hoping that I could do verse 5 also, but it's just going very slow. But we'll finish tomorrow for sure. Thank you for bearing with me patiently. I appreciate each and every one of you. Hare Krishna. Manchakautarubhyascha kripa sindhuvyeva cha patitanam
Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Chaitanya.